copies of today's handouts. Okay, two upcoming assistive technology webinars. Brian and I will be doing another webinar on April 8th, looking at assistive technology to support students with dyslexia and specific learning disabilities. That's Tuesday, April 8th at 12 noon. And then later in May, I'm going to be doing a webinar on assistive technology for transition from high school, which will be Tuesday, May 13th at 10 a.m. That'll be co-hosted with SPAN. And a little bit about myself. I'm an assistive technology consultant. Um, I provide assistive technology services to children and adults with disabilities, including evaluations, professional development, training for students and families, etc. Working in central and northern New Jersey and New York City in person or anywhere else remote.
And I'm Brian Friedlander. Ditto, pretty much similar services, evaluations, training. I'm in the northwest part of New Jersey, so cover the Warren County, Sussex County, and Morris County. So if you're interested, get in touch.
And Brian and I are both offering free assistive technology consultation sessions. These are remote sessions by phone, Zoom, Meet, etc. To help you get started or answer specific assistive technology questions. Please contact Brian or myself by phone or email to schedule the sessions. And again, these sessions are remote only. ATAC also funds a assistive technology lending center, which is housed and operated by Advancing Opportunities. This is a great place to borrow assistive technology that might be more expensive or you might not have access to it. And if you go onto their website, you can check and see what assistive technologies they have. You can request it and they will send it to you if it's available. Definitely check out the Assistive Technology Lending Library. And we have a short Menti poll, which is an online poll to just get a little bit of information about you. So if you could scan the QR code or go to this link and complete page 3 of the Menti poll for now, it would be greatly appreciated. Let's just take a quick look. So again, whoops, sorry. I don't want to annotate. Scan the QR code, and here is our poll. So you'll see that your entries are showing up on the Menti poll. I promise these are all anonymous, so no personal information is shared, and it really just helps us when we're reporting for a grant to know who was there and what your role is in terms of assistive technology. So you could complete page 3 on that. It would be greatly appreciated.
So, thanks for coming today. I just wanted to talk a little bit about my background. My career has spanned not only assistive technology, but I'm also a licensed psychologist. Spent a lot of time in the schools working with students with executive function disabilities and students with ADHD and learning disabilities. And so, I just wanted to talk about some of the 7 key areas of executive function. One would be inhibitory control. And, we often see this in students with attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, their inability to control their impulses or easily distracted. one of the areas that we're going to hit today also is talk about working memory. And this is really crucial. A lot of the students we work with have difficulty with their working memory, which impacts on note taking, remembering when to do tasks, remembering, when assignments are due, even recording and writing down notes in the classroom. Also, cognitive flexibility. Be able to switch in between, tasks in the classroom and adapting can be a challenge for students. And certainly, we know that students with executive function disability have trouble with planning and organization. And we're going to talk a little bit about, I mean, while the technology has come a long way and is pretty exciting, a lot of these skills are going to need to be modeled, and coaching is really an important facet of working with students with executive function and trying to improve their skills, such as self-monitoring. A lot of the students with executive function have difficulty self-monitoring, reflecting on their behavior, recognizing their patterns, and then readjusting depending upon what they've learned from their performance. And also task initiation, which is crucial. We find that a lot of students with EF often procrastinate, tend to hand in assignments late, and need a lot of nudging to get them started. And then another feature we're not going to deal with too much today. Maybe it's in the realm of the counselor area is emotional regulation, being able to handle their emotional experiences, being able to manage how they navigate their environment, and being able to keep their emotions, in check when needed. So I wanted to, I included it's more of it's a questionnaire by Peg Dawson and Richard Garr. They're both school psychologists, and the file is in that, with that link. And it's a nice, quick questionnaire that highlights those areas that I just spoke about to give you some insight into where the students need to, need, tasks that students need to work on. So it's a good tool if you're going to be coaching or doing intervention with students with executive functioning disorder.
And again, that survey is in the shared folder. So what are some supports that all of you use for supporting executive function skills? We'd like you to go into the chat window and just type in some of the supports that you use, some of the assistive technology supports that you might be using now with your students to support executive function skill. And we're going to open up the chat so we can just take a quick look.
So, Adam, a lot of folks saying Google Calendar, that's a big one. Yeah. Visual supports,
Yeah.
Canvas scheduling, calendar, reminders on iPad and iPhone, Alexa reminders, good. Digital reminders, therapy. Good reminders, please. My Alexa is sounding off. Oh,
Oh,
interesting. Air tags, Apple
yeah,
reminders, Glean, Notebook, great.
nice.
I wonder, how are you using air tags? Is it just so that the students are not losing devices or losing tools? Is that so? So Shannon, if you could share how you're using the air. Oh, exactly. Okay, thanks. So Shannon said that she's using air tags, I guess, with students so that they can this way they're not losing certain uh, technology or devices. Mhm. That's great.
Great. Well, this looks like a nice list
Great. Good start.
of supports being used. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so the first category we're going to talk about is time management and planning. This is a biggie. Lots of students, I mean, a big part of executive function skills is time management and planning. I mean, and this is something that students need to learn how to do. And the other thing that Brian and I see, because we work with students at a lot of different grade levels, including students who graduated and moving on to college, is some of these functions get more and more important as the students get into middle school and high school and then beyond high school. So it's important to start working on these skills early so students have the time to develop them and sort of create their own toolbox of techniques and technologies that they can apply to different situations. But we're going to talk about some coaching strategies, smartphones, visual timers. We're going to talk about the Pomodoro technique, calendar programs, learning management systems, smartwatches, and smart speakers. So first of all, just some basic coaching strategies that we found to be helpful, um, including modeling, guidance, feedback, and eventually fading supports. Because what we want at the end of the day is we want students to be able to implement these strategies independently or as independently as possible. One thing that I've been focusing on a lot with my middle and high school students is this idea of establishing a weekly planning time. So if they have a learning management system or Google Classroom or Google Calendar, something they could consult is, let's say on a Friday or over the weekend, look at seeing what's coming up in the week ahead and create a basic plan or a detailed plan of what they need to do that week to study for that quiz or to prepare for an assignment that might be due on Thursday, etc. And making that a part of their weekly routine.
Yeah, Adam,
Um,
that's yeah, absolutely. And I think too, we were talking. I know I often, Sunday afternoon, I'll open up my my notebook and kind of and take a look at my schedule on my iPhone. So, establishing those habits is really important. And I think too, we were talking that a lot of students are unaware, especially if they're using learning management systems, that a lot of the tasks or assignments are already listed in the calendars or in the LMSs, and they may not be aware of it. So again, doing that modeling and showing them and guiding them and giving them feedback is really important, and especially for students who will be graduating from high school and moving on to college. This becomes the EF tasks become even more important for their success.
Absolutely. And Brian, I know that you know this, but one of the greatest predictors of success in college is organization skills.
Yeah,
Yes, it
it's
helps to be smart, but it's even
yeah.
more important to be organized.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you how many students I've worked with that unfortunately had really, very difficult first years, freshman years in college because of their organizational skills or lack of initiative. And so these are really important skills. And I often say that unfortunately, a lot of the teachers in New Jersey in our schools, we do a we provide a lot of supports, a lot of modifications, and then when the students go on to college, they're just not aware of how much is being done in the background. So they really need
Yeah,
to, learn these skills on their own.
absolutely. I mean, I would definitely advocate for students that are in high school. By the time they're in junior year, they should be doing a lot of the tasks that they would need to be doing in college, or most of
Absolutely.
them
Yeah.
independently. So they get that practice,
Right.
um, and then they'll be able to hit the ground running in college. Smartphones, the reason that we have a whole slide for smartphones is there many students have access to a smartphone, at least not, if not during class, then in between classes and especially at home. You're carrying around a very useful tool to help you manage time and to plan and to keep track of things. Um, and I think there's a lot of potential out there because many students are not utilizing all the tools that they're carrying around in their pocket that they could be. So, you know, and students really enjoy using their phone. Sometimes they'll use their phone more than another device. So please focus on that.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Next slide.
So certainly, I was just at ATIA, and it's kind of interesting. The company Visual Timer was there. They have lots of different visual timers. So if you're working with young students, they get to get that feedback and get that sense of time that is involved. Also, there's for older students the Pomodoro technique, which basically, they can use their phone, which is basically like 25-minute periods or blocks of time to help students that maybe have trouble with initiation. So you can set the the timer for basically 30 minutes, 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of rest. So you break it up into these periods of time that are much more manageable for students. And as Adam said, lots of different timers on the phone. You can also get the visual timer for the iPad and the iPhone as an app, or there are also physical timers, as well, which can be so. Is I believe there are some specific Pomodoro, but the whole idea is really 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of rest to help initiate the student and get them engaged in the task.
A
We could
time
look.
timer also makes, I'm sorry, Brian.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Time timer also makes an actual wristwatch.
Mm,
So, and sometimes that makes it a little bit more, um, uh, makes it a little less obvious that students using a timer, especially for older kids. Digital calendars and reminders. A lot of you said that you used Google Calendar and Apple Calendar, other digital calendars, and I think they're great. One of the things that I think is especially awesome about digital calendars are the reminders. It's not enough just to put something in your calendar, but if you forget to check your calendar, then it becomes less effective and helpful. But the reminder feature um, really changes that whole equation where the technology is going to remind you that you have something coming up. And I think that really ups the effectiveness of Google of a lot of your digital calendars. The other thing that's really great about it is you can have it shared between devices. So if you're going between a Chromebook and your phone, and they're both signed into the same account, you could have that same calendar on both devices, which is super helpful.
yeah. Yeah, go ahead. The other thing too
Um,
with reminders is that you can teach students how to use the geolocation feature, which will basically kick off the reminder based on where they're at. So, for example, if you go to a certain supermarket where you need to pick up milk or eggs, you can set the reminder to kick off or initiate when you get to a specific location. So again, for students, it might be dropping off the book in the school library, or it could be picking up lunch or picking up a task, but it can also be set to the location where the student will be at, which may make more sense as opposed to the reminder just going off at a certain time.
Point. And kind of linked to digital calendars are learning management systems. Many schools are using learning management systems like Google Classroom or Canvas. And I find, and I think Brian has also found the same thing, is that a lot of students are not aware of all the great features in Canvas and in Google Classroom. For instance, in Google Classroom, when a teacher assigns work, it automatically goes into the student's Google Calendar. And Canvas has something similar. They have the Canvas calendar, but they also have some great features like they automatically create a to-do list for you based on your assignments and when they're due. One thing I did want to point out about Canvas is they have a great video archive for instructional videos. And you pick your role if you're a student, parent, etc. And they have all kinds of videos on overviews, on all the different features. And this is a great place to review or to learn new features about Canvas. So their video library is really quite good. And a lot of students that I've worked with enjoy watching those videos, especially if they're not sure how to do something. There are some specific smartwatches that have some limited and more focused functionality. Two are the Gizmo watch, which is can be gotten through Verizon, and the Timex Senior watch, which can be gotten through T-Mobile. Um, the thing I like about these phones is they don't do everything, which reduces distraction in classroom. Um, but they can also provide reminders and alarms for specific activities or notifications.
I have to say some of my favorites that I use myself is smart speakers, whether you're using an Amazon Echo or a Google Home or Facebook Portal. But on the Echo, I oftentimes use the reminder function. And the Amazon Echoes, you could probably get them some of them for around $20. But what's unique about the Echo is when you set reminders, not only does it give you basically it announces what that reminder is, but you also get a notification on your phone. So you get it two different ways. So if you happen to be away from your Amazon Echo, you will get a notification. So these can be really handy as well. And Amazon has come out with a number of different devices. You can see the one that's hung on the wall. It's basically like a smart TV. You can use it as a smart TV, but you can see that you have a dashboard where you can actually set up your calendar, see the weather. In addition, students can review if you've connected your Echo with your Google Calendar, you can ask it to announce what is on your calendar so students can get in the habit of, asking it what's on the calendar and it will announce it for the day as well. And you can do that with Siri also, on your iPhone.
That's great. I know a number of young adults who really use that feature because when they get up in the morning, they can say, what's on my calendar today? And it's that's a really nice way to check and make sure that you know what's supposed to be happening that day.
So of course, if you when you're working with younger students, you can do, non-techie kinds of things like color coding binders or having agenda books or, using graphic organizers or checklists. As Adam said, with more and more students using, the Google platform, teaching students how to use folders, color code folders, digitally can be important as well for organizing. I mean, oftentimes, when I work with students who have EF disabilities, I mean, all you need to do is look at their Google Drive, and you can see just how disorganized it is. So helping students organize their digital life can be just as important as well. And you can make it, also you can favorite drives as well, color code them, but really teaching students how to file digital documents in their Google Drive is really an important task for them to master.
And some of the different ways that you can support organizational skills are paper graphic organizers, digital graphic organizers, and some of the programs that we're going to be looking at are MindMup and AYOA. Um, you might also be familiar with Bubble and Inspiration, and we'll be taking a look at some of these in detail. First, I'd like to show you a little bit about MindMup for Google Drive and briefly describe how it works. Mhm. And MindMuff for Google Drive is free. Make sure you get the one that's designed to work with Google Drive because you'll be able to export your results directly into a Google Doc. And it's like a traditional um, graphic organizer. And on the left are controls for adding subtopics.
Está bien.
And then
That's really nice that it's integrated with Google Drive, so it's storing everything in there, which is great.
yeah. Um, so let's say if I completed this, and then if you download it as a outline, move this out of the way. And then you open this up
Wow, that's cool.
as a Google Doc.
Hmm.
And then you can it's a nice seamless way to move from a
Hmm.
web to outline. Then from here you can expand these into sentences and paragraphs.
Nice. Okay. I'm up. I'm just gonna share my screen. Let's
You want me
see.
to stop sharing?
Yeah, stop. Let me share mine.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me see here. Okay, share. So for students that may have, do you see my screen, Adam?
Yes.
Okay. For students that may have difficulty with initiation, especially around writing, so this is AOA, and this is one of the first applications, mind mapping, graphic organizers that has AI built in. So if you're working with students that have trouble initiating ideas, what I'm doing, I was going to create a mind map, and you can see it has the AI feature. So if I was going to be, let's say I had to write something about global warming, um, and what I can do is have it add some images, some notes. I'm just going to have it ideas, and then you hit create. So for students that I call it blank screen paralysis, this could be a great way to help them to begin to their writing project. So you can see how quick this is, and then each of these also has some notes. So again, students can say, I'll write about this, but maybe I'm not going to write about this, so they can delete it. And just like MindMup, you can go from that to an outline, just that quick. And you can also export this as a text file, bring it into Word, Google Docs, do what you want with it. But this can be really helpful for students that have difficulty with initiation and they need to kind of help jumpstart. You could do other interesting things with this. So students can take text and have it summarize it visually. They can drop YouTube URLs and it will summarize and pick up the key points. You can even drop audio files and it will create a graphic organizer around an audio file. And even a handwritten mind map, it can analyze and create a digital one. So this is a really powerful tool. The company, which is based in Wales, keeps adding some really exciting features, but their whole goal is working with students who have learning differences and executive functioning challenges. So this is a really interesting tool. Just wonder any questions or comment?
Brian?
Yes.
Brian, there was a question about AOA and
Yeah.
that is whether it's free or not.
So this is you can there's they give you a trial, but this is a subscription, uses a subscription model. This is web-based, but there's also apps for the iPad, the iPhone, Android. But what I'm doing is all web-based.
Okay.
All right, let me turn
Yes.
off my sharing. Okay, you're back, Adam.
All right. And the next tool we're going to look at is for managing checklists. And for checklists, I saw some of you are using stickies, virtual stickies, which is a great technique. I have a student who swears by the virtual stickies and he really uses it to manage, a pretty busy high school assignment schedule. But one we're going to look at today is called the Magic To-Do List, which is part of Goblin Tools. And the Magic To-Do List is an AI supported to-do list generator, but also I think it's also can be used to help students model how to create a to-do list. It will also help you figure out, what are the some potential subtasks of a task. And the if you look over here, it has chili peppers,
Oh, I'm
one
sorry. No
chili
problem. Look,
one chili pepper means you're going to get the least amount of details, and five chili peppers will mean you're going to get the most number of subtasks. So I'm going to type in an item, and the question is, um, the task is read a chapter and write a summary. So I'm going to click the plus sign, and then if I click here, it's going to break it down into subtasks. So read the chapter, identify key points, take notes on important details, write a concise summary. Now, if I go back and clear the subtasks and I add two chili peppers, so I want more details, and I'm going to ask it to create more subtasks for that, you'll see it generated a whole lot more. So depending on how much detail you want, uh, adjusting the chili peppers is going to help you. Now, I'm not saying that all of these are definitely right all the time. That's one thing with AI. You have to check and make sure that it's doing, it's providing useful and correct information. But this is pretty good. This is pretty good. Now, a student could take some of these out if they didn't need them all, or they can modify them themselves. But if you don't know how to do a task or you've never done it before, the Magic To-Do List can be a nice guide for doing that. And next, we're going to talk about Beat Computer. Okay. Let's see, Brian.
I got it. I'm good. Yeah. So
Okay.
I've been playing around with this device called B Computer. And what it is, if you look at the bottom left-hand part of the screen, it's basically a microphone which you can affix to your clothing or to your wrist. And what it does is it records what is being said during the day, also connects with your calendar. And then based on what's happened during the day, it will actually work through and come up with reminders based on your interactions during the day. Adam, if you can skip to the next one, this is just an unboxing, which you can see, but I did
Whoops.
another one. Yeah. So so basically, so you get the idea is I right actually now, if you it's hard to see because it's black, but I have the microphone on the my lapel of my outer garment. I also have it's connected to the B computer app on my iPhone, and then throughout the day, it will pick up information, sort of factual information about what happened during the day or what I'm doing, but it will also generate reminders based on what my day has been like as well. So if I'm having a conversation with my wife and she says, remember when you go to ShopRite to pick up, eggs and cheese, it's gonna remember that and set it as a reminder. So I'm gonna play this video. So Adam, if you could play that video, yeah, make it big. Yep. Friedlander, and this is just a short demo of B Computer. This is a external microphone that I have on my clothes, which picks up my speaking and looks at the topics, and this will automatically make suggestions based on what I'm doing, the conversations that I've had, and also my calendar. So you can see that it reviewed some of the conversations I've had and how it uses AI to actually create some suggestions. So here's some suggested to-dos. If I click on here, you can see that it automatically created these to-dos. And then if I click on it, I could add a reminder or mark as completed. I'm just going to keep that on for now. It also will generate some facts based on conversations or things you've spoken about. So it's actually learning as well. So you can see I actually had a conversation about Steve Jobs with my wife yesterday. I'm going to click on that. And I'm watching the show Resident Alien, so you can see that. I can save that. So it is learning based on what I'm talking about, and it's constantly generating new information and suggestions for my to-dos that I can then review. So this is the B Computer. You can use it with your Apple Watch. You can use it with your iPhone, and I have the external microphone that lets me capture my conversations effortlessly. So I hope you enjoyed that. And again, this could be might be a great tool for a college student who has difficulty with executive functioning. So that is probably at some level so that kind of gives you yeah, it's a little
Sorry about
it kind of gives you an idea of what's coming down the pike with regard to executive functioning and using AI. Well, it's not perfect. It's still sort of in beta, but this is something that, I think college students could take advantage of if they wanted to use AI to help them, because it really, in a sense, it's providing based on their conversations and looking at their calendar, it's providing them feedback to look at what they may have coming up. So if they're in a classroom, the teacher says you have your writing project due, then it will basically remind the student. And the nice part too, it's also a reflective practice because the students have to review the content. So it's not automatically putting things in the calendar for the students. So this could be a nice tool that can be used in combination with coaching.
Just one question popped up here on the chat that people are wondering about. Calvin is asking, don't you have to notify people that you are extracting information from their conversations?
Yeah, I mean it's a courtesy. I've been using it with my wife in my home. But again, if you're a college student with a disability, you're registered with disability services. I'm sure that's something that could be approved. It would be no different than using an audio device for note taking. But I say always check on your state laws with regard to audio recording. So some of the laws are kind of interesting around that, but that it is a very good question.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Moving on to the next topic, Brian had mentioned computer files and cloud storage, and organizing Google Drives. Organizing Google Drives is a skill that all students should be taught, but for students with executive function skill challenges, it's even more important because there's nothing worse than having a Google Drive with 1,000 unfiled documents. I mean, it's going to be almost impossible to find them. So one way that you can teach is to show students how to organize and how to organize files in Google Drive. And let me just take a quick look here. So for instance, here's some Google Drive folders. First of all, you have to teach students how to make a Google Drive folder, and it's just go up here, file, new folder. But another thing that you can do, and this is also a great extension of this idea of color coding, is that you can make folders different colors. So I could make this one red. And let's say you had folders for each school subject, and the school subjects were already organized by color, then you could make the folders follow that color scheme. So when they're putting their math work into a folder and they know math is always blue, then they could make sure it goes into the blue folder. It's also something that I'm finding most students are not universally good at is how to move a document into a folder. And again, this is something that should be taught and reinforced so the students know how to move something from an unfiled location to a specific folder. Seems kind of silly, or simple, but it's super important, especially for students who are moving, as most are, from paper and pencil files to digital files.
Give me 1 second. Okay. So we touched upon it a little bit about a lot of students that we work with, how executive function impacts on their writing and initiation. So certainly a lot of teachers I work with always find that sometimes paper-based graphic organizers can be helpful. And again, if you're in the Google ecosystem, you can use the your Google Draw. And if you do a search, you'll find other teachers have created paper-based graphic organizers that can live in that Google Draw application, which could be a good start for younger students who may not have the expertise to work with some of the more digital graphic tools. As Adam showed you, the graphic organizer, I'm up that can connect with Google Drive can be a great tool for students with writing challenges. Let me just get that. And you could go to the next one. And of course, you also have, whether in Google Docs or MS Word or on paper, students can do also outlining. I just wanted to show you a tool that I've been using. So I'm gonna take the screen. Let me just get that. And I'm gonna copy and get the screen. Okay. So I know many of you have probably used voice typing, which is included in the Google Docs, or you might even be using the dictate function in Microsoft Word. I found in working with a lot of the students with language-based learning disabilities that sometimes speech recognition poses a challenge in that they're speaking, they see the words coming up on the screen, and for a subset of students, if it gets the puts the wrong word in, it really gets them stuck. They get obsessed with the fact that it wasn't the right word, and it kind of stops the flow of their ideation. And so I've been actually working with a number of different applications that take advantage of AI, and one of them is called Voice Notes. And what this does is it changes the whole writing
And
process.
Brian, we
Yeah,
don't we don't see anything. Hold
you
on.
don't see
You want
anything?
to share?
I did share.
I need to stop sharing.
Hold it. Okay.
Try again. Sorry.
Okay. There we go. Okay. Nothing was missed yet. So one of the things that like I said, I've noticed is that a lot of students' voice typing doesn't quite work. And I found that working with something like this is called Voice Notes. You can try this. There is a subscription. I paid a one-time fee of about $50 for lifetime access. It's web-based. You can, put the app on your Apple Watch. You can put it on your iPhone, your Android phone. And what's different about this, it changes the whole process of writing. All the students do is, and I'll show you in a second, is you hit the record button. The students don't see anything on the screen until they hit done. When the student hits done, it automatically transcribes what they said, and it uses AI to clean up their language. It does not add anything additional. So, of course, there won't be any spelling errors. It will actually put periods or punctuation in. And then once it's done, you can take that text, move it into Google Docs, Microsoft Word, put it anywhere you want. And again, for students who have EF challenges, this could be a great tool for them during the day just to capture their ideas of what they have to do and go back to doing whatever they want. And again, getting into the whole idea of reviewing. So the way this works is I came here. You'll also notice that it actually has an extension over here. So if I'm anywhere, so for example, I could be over here and I'm just going to click on voice notes and start recording. So right now, I'm recording using voice notes. You can see there's nothing on the screen. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at a mind map that I did about global warming. And again, a student might have this mind map up and talk about how he's going to talk about some of the green gases and how global warming is impacting on deforestation and that's impact on the amount of carbon dioxide in the environment. Once the student is done doing their brain dump, all they would need to do is come up here and hit stop recording. Well, once they do that, it takes you to the website or their dashboard. It does the transcription, and then it provides the students with everything they said. So you can see here it is, but you can, again, it reduces some of that friction that I found that voice typing creates for those subset of students that have trouble interacting with it, especially if it gets things wrong. This does a really good job. It uses AI. And then once you're done, you have options to download it. You can actually, if you wanted to listen to yourself, read it. It will read it, and then you can copy the note, paste it, and you can share it as well. So this is a really interesting technology that you may want to try. I think the free version, they give you up to 5 minutes, which may be enough to kind of test out the hypothesis whether this is going to work for students that don't seem to be a good fit for voice typing. So I'm just wondering, is anyone using anything like this, or has anyone tried themselves? So voice notes, there's a free version that gives you 5 minutes. If you want, if you need more time, then you can get a subscription, which I'm not sure exactly what the cost is, but I think yes, and the Notes app on the iPad now has audio recording that transcribes to text. That is correct. And let me just, I was just gonna, I will, I'm gonna add that to the other thing too is, in terms of working, memory, this is, another, app. It's called the Whisper app. And what's unique about this for students that may have trouble with, working memory is that this app costs $5. And what's nice is no Wi-Fi is needed. It processes the text locally, on the iPhone, and then you can move it around, share it. So for students that might, have difficulty working memory, maybe they're in college and they have the accommodation that they can record their notes, but maybe they're in areas where Wi-Fi is not great. This can be an interesting, app to, record and transcribe the text. And, again, another tool, which might be interesting, this is a digital recorder, that, basically can transcribe audio files without the need for internet, as well. And, this is available. It's the iFlyTech smart recorder. You can record your sessions and then, without the need for Wi-Fi. When you're done, you plug this into your Mac, PC, or Chromebook, and you can download the TXT file as well as the audio file, which is an MP3, format. This might come in handy again in certain cases where maybe you're working in environments, secure environments that allow for audio but don't allow for Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. And so this might be an interesting tool, in that scenario. All right. Any questions? Or as you can see, there's a lot, I see some really good, comments in the chat. There's lots of, lots of really great tools out there today, to help students. Too too much technology, yes. Yeah, Rachel said there's also, yeah, Microsoft Translate is great, and, Microsoft, currently doesn't have any limits, so you can drop audio files into Microsoft Translate, and it will translate the document.
Microsoft Word will also do that.
Yes, in Word, that's correct. Yep.
You can upload an MP3 file.
Yeah, yeah. So, yes, you'll get the slide deck. Let's see,
We put it in the chat.
yeah. Maybe Adam, you want to show the QR code again for that? Yep.
Yeah, we do have time in a minute or so to open this up to questions, to audio questions. So if you would be so kind as to scan the QR code again and go back to the Menti poll and complete pages 4, 5, and 6, we would be eternally grateful.
And Adam, I can hang out a couple of minutes after if there's questions or,
Yes, that's great.
yeah, so take it.
If everyone can just, sorry, 1 minute, Brian. If everyone can do just what works best for them in terms of asking questions, if you need to unmute yourself, go ahead. Whatever's most accessible for you. We do have some time here, so feel free to do whatever works best.
Thank you.
And just the last slide, this is our contact information.
Adam, can you put
And
the link, I guess, to the poll in the chat again? You
yes,
go back one. Yeah. Okay, great.
I will put that in the chat. Whoops. And here's, I just put the link to the poll in the chat window. So if you want to, we can open it up to questions at this point, either in the chat or if you want to raise your hand for a question. And let's see. Grid view, grid view, grid view. Okay. Participants. Okay, so
I have one question. I'm
yes.
trying to find my hand. Maybe it's faster. I apologize. So the iFlyTech, which you alluded to, is about $250 each. They do run some sales. Um, does the voice notes, could that be a substitute for that? Seems to be fairly versatile. You can audio record and get transcripts, and then you can talk into it yourself. Are they comparable, or are they for $5 versus 250? Is that, do they do
Well,
different things?
the Whisper app is $5, and that
Oh,
you
that's right. The
yeah,
Whisper app. I'm
the
sorry.
Whisper app is 4.99, and you can certainly use that. The Android phones have that feature, built in now. The nice part about it again is you don't need Wi-Fi. It's processing, and again, if your environments where maybe there's confidential information, that's the nice part. Is I mean, I've tried it. I can put my iPhone in the airplane mode and still record off the TV, and
Hmm.
then it does what it has to do. And also keep in mind that, in terms of your workflows, I mean, if you're working with students, they can take the content from the text and dump it into Copilot, ChatGPT, and have it summarize the information, for them as well. As a matter of fact, with the voice, you can do it with voice notes too. There is a feature that says, record meeting, so you can use it that way as well. And there are also services if you can take an MP3 file like in TurboScribe and drop your audio file in and get a transcript, or you can use Microsoft Word and the transcription features that are built in there as well. So there's a lot of different combinations and permutations.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, one thing I'd like to just add about the iFly Tech, and one of the reasons that I like using it is it does the transcription without needing to be online.
Yeah.
And if I'm working with, student information, I want to make sure that that information is going to be confidential. So that's one thing that I like about the iFly Tech. It'll work offline, so I don't have to worry about, people having access to private information.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about the security of it.
Okay.
Good
I have
question.
I have a question about like how can a student like manage their like money? Because I find that if they can manage like their money and do that they can start managing other things, or I like to always put everything to money.
Um, well, managing money skills is kind of like a thing to itself. I have done like a whole presentation. We usually group it with math skills.
Okay.
And there are a number of great, programs and apps to help students learn money and practice with handling it. And if you want to, get in touch with me, I'd be happy to tell you some of the technologies that I've used to help students with money skills. But it's a good point, and it is kind of an executive function type skill,
Mhm.
especially with things like shopping, where you have to manage a list, etc.
Thank you.
Adam, do you use some of the apps from Attainment for that?
Yes, I do.
Yes. Yeah.
Dollars and Cents
Yep.
is a great app.
Mhm.
They have a simulated shopping
Yeah.
feature and a
Yeah.
simulated cashier
Yeah.
function. So that's one of the best apps I think out there. Dollars and Cents.
Yeah. And they've moved to basically web-based apps now. So
Mhm.
years past they were on CDs or they only ran on the iPad and things like that, but now they're all web-based, and they're a good start because they have some simulation, and they also have sort of testing built in with reports, so you can see the progress of the students as they work through it. Attainment software. Good. Any other questions, or even, share with us your ideas about some of the things that you might be doing in this area.
This is Jessie. I just wanted to point out to all of the participants that so many of these features and functions that were discussed today are already readily available to us. So be sure to keep that in mind as you all are moving forward on your assistive technology paths.
That's a good point. A lot of the technologies we talked about today are not necessarily things that you would have to get. You might already have them and just not using them. So that's a big part of what we were talking about today. So Jess, I'm glad you brought that up. Well, if anyone has additional questions or comments or wants to continue the conversation offline, then please get in touch with Brian or myself, and we'd be happy to discuss any of these items in greater detail.
Yeah. And look for future seminars that Adam and I will be doing in April. And if you have ideas, let us know, or you let Jessica know, what you're interested in, and we can provide that, for you.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording. Thanks so much,
Great.
everyone, for attending.
Great. Thanks for everyone coming.
Thank you.
Have a good day.